No.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's Crawlspace Live's Gossip Pod. What's up? I'm Tim here with Lance. What's going on, Lance?
I feel like we're getting right into it right away. The train, I feel like those Western movies where the train is going and the guy's on the horse and he jumps on the train. It's going at like full tilt already.
Hey, when they say you're live, what are we going to do? We're just going to pretend we're not live. It's a goddamn intro.
Goddamn intro. Let's do it.
Let's intro our very special guests here tonight from Obsessed with Disappeared and True Crime Obsessed, Patrick Hinds. What's up, Patrick?
You guys, I love you so much. I miss you so much. I can't believe I'm not with you. I just want to hold you and squeeze you both.
Oh, the feeling's mutual, man.
Yes.
Not gonna lie. It's been a tough few weeks.
I know. We need some snuggles, you guys. It's been a while since the three of us have just been in a bed, fully covered, snuggling, to just feel better about the world. It's been a few weeks.
Yep. I mean, if we need to put the masks on, we can put the masks on. I mean,
Look, we're doing it where it's a social distance snuggle. We're masked. Look, if I believe in nothing else, I believe in protection in the bedroom.
And Patrick, your co-host here from Obsessed with Disappeared is here. Ellen, what's going on? Ellen Marsh.
I feel odd and awkward about that intro, but I'm going to let you guys have your space and have your fun because clearly this is the dynamic that you guys have, and I'm not judging, but I'm happy to be here.
You guys, I have so many things to tell you about Ellen. So Ellen is my oldest, bestest friend of 20 years. Lancey and Timmy are two of my favorite podcast people in the whole world. But Ellen, so you guys, I'm sorry, I don't know if there's an agenda for this hang sesh, but I got it right at the top. Ellen, okay, episode 6 of Disappeared, which is the podcast that Ellen and I make, which is Obsessed with Disappeared. You guys know it's the Maura Murray episode. Ellen, I should have primed you for this. Could you please regale the boys with your Fred Murray?
Well, I had to go pick her up at Amherst, and she needed a new car. So I had to go car shopping. So I picked Maura up, and we had to go get her a new car.
Oh my God. It's guys, it's 9:02 and we just had a Fred Murray impersonation.
You guys, but side note, I am not as a Silver Fox kind of gal, but I'm Silver Fox and Fred Murray.
I know. We talked forever in the episode about how much we love Fred Murray, how he's so handsome. When I did my interview with Julie Murray, she was like, I can't tell you his age because he's a ladies' man. And I was like, Julie, I respect that. It comes through to me. It's very clear to me that he's a ladies' man.
And then when you told me that, what did I say?
Something to the effect of I would hit that, I think.
I said he could get it, but I also said, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Don't you?
So hot, you know what I mean?
I know.
So,
Don't you think that if you were to see a picture of Fred Murray back in the 70s, you'd be like, oh shit.
You know what, Lancey, yes, it would be exactly like that moment 4 years ago that we all saw that picture of Joe Biden from 30 years ago. And men, women, heteros, lesbians, everyone were like, hang on a second. It changed everybody's life. I feel like it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And I don't listen, he's been through a lot, but it was but he's so eloquent and loving and kind and just intelligent. I also just want to make sure he's okay in other aspects of his life. You know what I mean?
He is the thing about Fred that comes through so strongly in that episode is yeah, it's been really hard, but he's tough and he's a survivor. And every intro and outro of a commercial is literally Fred hiking in the woods, looking for Maura. And it there was something about the Northeastern, my Northeastern roots that were yeah, that's how you do it. Fred, you know what I mean? Fred, we talked about Fred basically the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have stories about Fred that were told to us through some of the people that helped him on the search, and how he would just go. He'd come into a restaurant or a diner. They would meet up after he would be out, and they would pull ticks off of him because he just got so deep into the woods and ticks and he would just be covered in, bug bites and ticks, and they would pull, they'd help him out and clean him up a little bit. This guy's a goddamn trooper. This guy's a warrior.
Nancy, Timmy, if I may ask, who de-ticked the both of you after your 29-mile hike with 1 bottle of water and 2 pairs of jeans?
It was a mutual de-ticking. Actually, I brought this spray along for that hike that is so powerful. I think they only sell it out of like Norway or something. Like it's so powerful. It's legit poison. You can't put it on your skin. You'll get a terrible rash and it'll smoke. You can smell burning hair.
Can I tell you something, you guys? Ellen Marsh, my oldest friend in the world, basically we say she's like Daisy's birth mother. I love her so much. She's never seen the Oxygen special. She's never listened to the 2-part series we did on True Crime Obsessed, and she didn't come to our live show in Brooklyn, you guys. She has no idea who you guys are. She does not know that you guys are podcast fucking royalty.
Wait, also, I listened to their podcast, though. I listened to 2 episodes today.
Okay, good. We had our finger on the button that kicks you out, but you listened to 2 episodes. That's okay.
I want to see Ellen just like drop through the floor.
No, you know what's so funny? I told Patrick, like, I listened to every True Crime Obsessed one, and I missed, maybe I was out of town, I missed Maura Murray. So when we did it for Disappeared, I was like, well, I can't compete with your Maura Murray knowledge. You know everything, and that I learned on the Disappeared one. So I have to watch the Oxygen special because I'm obsessed with the story. And
does the name Maggie Freeling mean nothing to you? Maggie Freeling, does that name? Have you met Maggie?
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
No, why are you screaming? Why are you embarrassing me in front of my new friends?
Because look, you're embarrassing me. Look, you know me as the failed musical theater student from our years in college at Emerson. You fail to recognize that I've sort of made a name for myself in the podcasting world, and you're embarrassing me by not knowing about Timmy and Lancey, not knowing about Maggie Freeling, not watching the Maura Murray episodes. Girl!
I feel awkward. I
do too.
Actually, Maggie did one of the most rock star things. Actually, Maggie did the most rock star thing that she's ever done. She knew that we were doing this tonight. We said, come on, we'll rotate you on the screen. She may or may not show up. She texted and said, hey, I might be too drunk and in my pajamas to do this.
Peak Maggie.
Yeah.
She said she started making chicken salad and that was just it. Couldn't make it.
Yeah. She said, tell me next time when you guys give me a proper notice next time so I don't make chicken salad.
It's a little bit of a cycle though, because I feel like we don't want to give proper notice unless we know she's not going to make chicken salad.
Look, Maggie Freeling is one person on in her podcast journalism life, and a completely other person in her normal not public persona life.
Yeah. She's who's Superman? Clark Kent. She's Clark Kent. Yeah. She'll just put the glasses on, take the glasses off, and it's a completely different persona.
Right. I'm FaceTiming her right now. I'm going to see if she answers.
Oh, this is brilliant.
She's not going to answer. She knows what's going on.
I want to hear about your show, Obsessed with Disappeared.
Oh my God, you guys. It is okay, so she didn't answer. So Obsessed with Disappeared is a spin-off of True Crime Obsessed. True Crime Obsessed is a podcast where Jillian Pensavalle and I recap true crime documentaries, right? And it's a true crime comedy podcast, but we take the crime really seriously and whatever. And so I learned in my sort of doing that show that I was really obsessed with the cases of missing people. And so I was like, I really want to do a missing persons podcast, but there are so many great ones already out there. And I was sort of I don't want to just rehash the same cases over and over and over again if I can't bring something new to it. And then I thought oh my God, there's that show Disappeared. We could just do what I do, which is recap stuff. I called Ellen and I was like, girl, do you want to make a podcast? She's like, I don't know. I was like, you're making a podcast. It's called Obsessed with Disappeared. You just have to come on and be hilarious, because Ellen is also obsessed with true crime. And so that's what it is. It's a recap. We're going episode by episode, starting with season 1, episode 1. And we're already minds are blown already, girl, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. And I think that, it's been great. It's been really fun. We just had an interview the other day, and they're like, "Why did you make this podcast?" I was like, "Cause Patrick told me to." That pussycat.
Yeah.
Like,
So you're also a true crime person. Like you're obsessed with true crime.
I'm actually gonna say something tonight that I've actually never said before.
Oh, we get an exclusive?
Yeah, it's an exclusive.
We got exclusive. When are you gonna say it? Right now?
Okay, I'm gonna need you just to hold your reaction for a minute, Patrick. But this is actually real, and I've thought of that. Okay, my ex-husband, Travis, Travis is my ex-husband. We loved documentaries like so long ago. And I'm going to say I got you into true crime documentaries.
What?
Timmy's face. Look at Timmy's face.
Yeah, I'm going to say like we watched true crime. Like, I mean, go back to like Dear Zachary. Dear Zachary was like 16 years ago. I told you about Dear Zachary.
Like, you and I used to go back and forth, remember? You would tell me, don't do that thing where you open your eyes so wide it looks like it's going to eat your head. But no, you told me about Dear Zachary. I told you about Aunt Diane, and I told you about My Kid Could Paint That, remember?
No, I told you about My Kid Could Paint That.
No, you're right. You're right. You told me about My Kid Could Paint That. You're right.
Are you being facetious right now?
No, I really, really thought that I told you about that, but you're right. You told me about that.
Because my point being, I'm sorry, Lance, Tim, I apologize. Point
this is amazing.
Being, I was into true crime before it was cool. That's all I want to say. So,
And I feel like,
can you go so we can get Maggie in here?
yeah, what if I was just like, and bye? And I just
No,
you eject out of your seat.
Yeah.
I want to hear.
I feel like I did it before it was cool. So that's my street cred. That's
How do you know each other? And like, what is your background, Ellen?
Okay, so I'm originally from the Bay Area. I'm originally from California, and then I went to college in Boston at Emerson. And Patrick and I, look at his face! Look at his face! I say we were friends from the beginning. He said that I said I was too cool for him.
We were not friends from the beginning, so
I was friends with everyone. But go ahead.
So Ellen, the thing about Ellen is that she is incredibly talented. She's she's the most what's the word? Like loyal, truest friend you could ever make. I came into Emerson really wanting to be an acting major, and I did not get accepted to the program. I wasn't talented, and so
you were talented.
No, but I didn't get in, and so I came to the school as like a general major or whatever. And Ellen was like queen bee and like just didn't like have time for me. And it wasn't that she was necessarily mean, although I could give you like at least one example. It was just sort of like she didn't pay attention to me and I wasn't having that. And so I decided that we were enemies. And then I had a really good friend who I remember, it was like a soap opera. The end of freshman year, we were all figuring out where we were going to live in our dorms for sophomore year. And our friend Anna said to me, she's like, I think I'm going to live at 100 Beacon. And I was like, oh, really? She goes, on the same floor as Ellen Marsh. And I went, no! I was not going to let her be friends with Ellen. And of course, like day one of sophomore year, they were best friends. And like 2 weeks later, Anna tricked us into like spending time together. And she's like, we are not leaving. You guys remember the TGI Fridays on Newberry Street?
Oh, yeah.
So we met at the TGI Fridays, and Ellen showed up, and I was like, what is she doing here? And she was like, what is she doing here? And then Anna was like, you guys are not leaving until you're best friends. And I swear to God, we sat there and stared at each other for 4 seconds, and then our hands went across the table, and I was like, I love you. And she's like, I love you too. And here we are 6 years later.
Yeah, that's the story. And
I'm also supposed to tell you guys that we were at Emerson. We are proud members of the graduating class of 2017.
Yeah, we just graduated.
Graduated.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was one of the best classes that graduated.
It's true, 2017 strong, yeah.
Ever.
No, but we've always been have always been in each other's lives. We like and you know the best compliment that we've gotten, I don't know if you've heard this, Patrick, but the best compliment people have gotten is they feel like they're sitting in on a chat with two friends and they're like the third friend.
Yeah, totally.
We are just like authentically ourselves. My brother listened to the podcast and thought he was listening to it on 1.5 speed.
I will say that, like, so, you know, I started True Crime Obsessed with Jillian like years ago, and I knew that I really wanted to make this podcast with Ellen. And like, the thing about Ellen and Jillian is that they're both these incredibly like smart, funny, like empathetic women, but they come through in these series in completely different ways. Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So how did Patrick approach you to do this? And what was the opportunity? Like, was there something?
And said, here's the thing you have to do.
Yeah. He literally was like, hey, it wasn't a question. He goes, hey, we're starting a podcast together. And I was like, this was like middle of last year. I was like, okay, sure. And I was in Pretty Woman I perform on Broadway, and that's what I've done most of my career. And I was like, cool. He goes, can you do it with your schedule? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, like, I can set up podcasting anywhere and we can like do it. And he was like, okay. And every couple months he's like, don't forget that podcast we're doing. And I was like, sure, Jan. And then the thing is, I have had a front row seat to watch Patrick evolve from, you know, doing this tiny little theater podcast where he was like, you know, hustling and bustling people, going to people's dressing rooms. I've watched every step of his evolution of podcasting, from theater podcast to more of like an NPR style theater podcast to a Broadway con. And then, you know, true crime, he seemed to just like jump on the scene, but that was actually like years of plugging away and, you know, kind of like it was just a labor of love. But he's always been so good at it. And everything he's done and he's succeeded at because he's like authentically Patrick at all times. And he's the hardest worker. So while our professional lives have never really woven together over the years, other than supporting each other's ventures, it was just kind of like, if he told me that he wanted to do a podcast, I was like, yes. And I joke that I'm writing his coattails now, because I am, because he's been at this for so long, and I just kind of like got to step in and be part of the madness, and he did all the legwork. So,
oh my God, that's so nice. I love you. That makes up for that time on the shuttle bus in college when you were mean to me, and it's my favorite story of our friendship.
You can tell them the story. Tell them the story. It takes 5 seconds.
Yeah, please tell us the story.
It's not true, but hilarious.
It's
not true.
So Emerson had a shuttle bus because apparently, like, rich kids are too, like, they can't walk the 6 blocks from Tremont and what is it, Boylston and Tremont to like Beacon and Arlington. Like, we can't
walk through the Common, and you had to walk through the Common in the public garden, and when it was cold they had a shuttle bus.
Yeah, it took like 6 minutes, you guys. We're not gonna fucking walk.
No, don't do that.
You literally Ubered 12 blocks like 6 months ago.
But the point is, I was on the shuttle. It was freshman year when Ellen was very cool. And I was on the shuttle with my friend Jeremy, and it was her friend Jeremy. And the shuttle stopped, and Ellen got up after ignoring me the whole shuttle ride. Ellen looks at Jeremy and says, hey, Jeremy, we should kick it more. Doesn't look at me, doesn't even acknowledge my presence, and then just gets off the shuttle bus.
Wait, so that means we should hang out more?
Yes.
Okay.
Man, you know what? I know that's not what happened. I said we all should kick it more.
Oh, no, I love you. And the thing about you is that you are like, she's such a big personality. This is the other difference. Like, Jillian and I are really very opposite, and that's why True Crime Obsessed works. And Ellen and I are exactly the same, and that's why Obsessed with Disappeared works. Because it's just like, we're just two people screaming into microphones, talking over each other.
Sure, I can see why it's not for everyone.
Okay. Did that worry you that when you were when you came up with the idea to do this Obsessed with podcast and you chose Ellen as your co-host, did that worry you that the similar personalities were going to be overwhelming?
No, because I think that I knew that, like, you know, our dynamic, like, what's annoying about Ellen and me at like a party, or like on a whatever this
get vocal
app is called, like Hangout, is that like we tend to just like God, this makes me feel terrible when I like think about it, but we sort of just like steamroll everything and just like talk and scream. And like, but on a podcast, I thought that would really work because it's sort of like us just like yelling and screaming and laughing and, you know, and like, that's not to say like that we don't take the subject matter really seriously because we do. And that's part of it is that we get really invested in it. And then we both have so much to say about it. I just kind of figured also Ellen's a performer. So you really have great instincts about like when to like really go for it and when to like pull back. And it's, you know, Timmy and Nancy, the one thing I will say about Ellen that really is hilarious is recording ads. Because Ellen doesn't get that, like, you have to edit this ad down to, like, 90 seconds at like, the most. So Ellen will be like, but the other thing about Daily Harvest, you guys, is that it's organic and, like, I feed it to my daughter. And then I'll feel bad. And she'll go, and I'll look at this thing and I'm like, we're 6 minutes into a 60-second ad.
Yeah. Good for you. You. Tim and I pride ourselves on that. We really pride ourselves on the fact that we can just keep going and going on Best Fiends. Like we love Best Fiends. I mean,
we got this email from Best Fiends last week that was like, we'd really like you guys to get to level 37 before your next ad read. I was like, Best Fiends, girl.
Okay, so that's interesting. Do the two of you record? Well, obviously you're probably recording remotely now, but would that be the case anyway? That you'd be recording remotely and?
No, we really wanted to. Like so the Obsessed Network is the name of my podcast network, and we just invested in this like incredible state-of-the-art podcast booth that we just had built from the ground up at our office, and we're not going to use for like a year.
No,
and so like we had been at a WeWork where we had made a little recording studio, and Ellen, we recorded the first 2 episodes there.
Nice, yeah, we recorded there 2 times, yeah.
And then after that, it was just like. Yeah, and now it's all over basically like FaceTime and we're like recording into our own microphones.
Are both of you tapping into your theater background to kind of play off of each other? If you're, doing like a virtual recording, do you guys have like a rhythm down that you would have like had on stage, like you understand where the other person's coming from and where your timing's going to come into play?
That's like what I meant about Ellen's like as a performer, like she's like so well versed to do this thing because she really you understand pacing, which I think like pacing in a podcast like the kind that we're making is so important because it's all about like it's all about like really going like fast and furious or like wherever we can find the jokes and then like really slowing down on the more like on the sadder sort of like more like truthful, meaningful moments.
Yeah. I also think that, and Patrick has said this before, we also had an automatic shorthand. We had no learning curve. It was just like kind of full steam ahead from the beginning. And you've mentioned this, you and Jillian. I don't remember. I loved TCO from the jump, but we never had that sort of. It's just like us just sitting and talking, and that, and we do feed and know each other so well. One thing I've noticed, I'm a very audible listener. I never noticed that about myself. I'm like, yeah. Right. I never noticed that. And I'm listening to the podcast because I'm listening. Like I'm actively listening, but I'm like, yep.
That's amazing. Before it goes away, Shannon wants to know which Broadway shows you've been in.
She's been so many, and they're all so good. You've yet to be in a bad one, girl.
Yeah, no, yeah. My first Broadway show I booked and it closed before I opened in it, so that was Cry Baby. And then I was in a Broadway play called Enron, which was a flop, but very, very good.
It was a flop here, but it was a smash in London.
Yeah, it was really, really good. It just didn't get good reviews. It just didn't play well here. And then I was in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert after that, which was a blasty blast. Then I was in Kinky Boots. I was in that for a very long time. And then I was in Pretty Woman. And then I just closed Tennessee Williams' Rose Tattoo.
Wait, can you tell them about your other project? Because they're Boston boys.
Oh, right. My next show is The Bedwetter, Sarah Silverman's show.
Oh, no kidding.
Sarah
Silverman like cast Ellen on the spot. It's amazing.
Unreal. That's awesome.
But yeah, no. So she wrote a book. It's actually about her as a 10-year-old who wets the. If you read the book, the book is amazing. It's such a bait and switch. It's so great. Yeah, so I'm doing that next when the world is up for theater again.
Oh, so I guess that, I guess that leads us to the question about when Broadway is going to be opening again. Because Patrick, you and Jillian and True Crime Obsessed had your amazing opportunity on Broadway, which was supposed to be this month, right?
Yeah, June 1st, we were going to be the first podcast to ever play Broadway. We're still going to do it. We're still hopefully going to be the first, although, like, who cares? Like, but we're doing it at the Hayes Theater, which is owned by this amazing theater company called Second Stage. So we've been going back and forth with them every day. We're like, girl, keep the money. We're going to, like, as soon as we can get back, we're going to do it. So it's still going to happen. But it's kind of sad. Ellen was going to be in the show. And it's sad. I mean, it was a sold out Broadway show, June 4th, and like
that was a sad one. Yeah, it was sad. And again, watching that from, I get to see all of the backstage Patrick stuff, and you guys get to see all the fun stuff. And they just put so much work into that show, and time and research and back and forth. And so, I mean,
Timmy and Lancey did a live show with us. That you were there. Can I ask you guys a question? Like, okay, so we did a live show in Brooklyn at the Bell House about the Maura Murray episodes of the Oxygen series, right? And we asked you guys if you would do it with us, and you said yes. I was so excited, and you came and did it. And we had 2 more like sold out shows, one in Boston, one in Philly. We're gonna do them again when the world opens up. Were you guys? What did you think about doing that show with us?
It was really amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I'm fucking blown away every time. Like even in this room right now, this Get Vocal room, I'm just scrolling through the people who are here. We've done True Crime Thursdays for about a month or so now, a month and a half, and I've never scrolled like 3 or 4 times up with all. You guys packed the house at the Bell House, standing room only.
It wasn't just us; it was you guys too.
But you still do, like, you have other shows that you do, other live shows. So it was a little bit intimidating at first to like be a part of that. Also, I think I realized like your seriousness, like your like professionalism when we went out to grab some food, and I think Maggie might have sent a picture of like us just drinking a beer, and you sent back a video of you. You're saying like, don't you dare drink a beer before.
I take it so like we learned this the hard way because Jillian and I did a couple live shows in New York when we were first starting live shows. And we were doing like 2 shows back to back, and we had like 1 or 2 drinks, and we were fucking hammered. And then the show just like falls off a cliff. And so I remember sending a text back to Maggie, being like, "You tell the boys, no drinking." I'm like, drink as much as you want during the show, but you have to come to the show sober.
Second I saw that video, I was like, "Oh man, no, this is the real deal."
I got the impression you were going to be like actually mad at us if we came back drunk.
Oh yeah, I would have been. I actually would have been mad. And
you guys, ready for the tea. For as sweet and jovial and loving and funny as Patrick is, do not get him angry.
No. The thing is, like with live shows, and especially like I love them so much.
You're not hot-headed. I'm not saying you're hot-headed. It's this. This is what he would do. He'd go, "Did you guys have a beer?" And you would feel horrible for the rest of your. He doesn't.
You know what?
He just goes with this mouth.
I like when people pay money to come out and see us live. It is a shock to me every single time. Like that people are going to spend money and then travel to fucking Brooklyn to come and see us live. Like it to me, it was like every time we do a live show. I always say we never like, and this is going to be you and me, Ellen, when we do our live shows, like, I don't think I'm funny. So when I see like 700 people sitting in seats, knowing that they're here to get hammered and laugh, I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do when we get out there, you guys. Like, it's going to be a disaster no matter what. Do you guys remember when we were in Brooklyn, something happened and the run of show was supposed to be like the theme music, and then Steve was going to go out and introduce us, and then we were going to come out, and something happened and the theme music started playing, and Steve was with us and like not where he was supposed to be because nobody told us. I lost my shit. Like I immediately started yelling, and I was like, this is not how I want to present myself to these people that I love and admire and look up to. And I didn't know what else to do. I just full on panicked.
This happened during the Brooklyn show?
Do you remember? You don't remember this? Okay, thank God.
No,
I was kind of a mess. I was like, yeah, I was a little bit. I always wanted to go. What I love about the live shows is that like we do like a PowerPoint deck, right? So we're going through the show with clips from the show. And usually even Jillian doesn't really necessarily know what the clips are going to be. I loved that you guys didn't. What I love is that sort of controlled chaos where we all know what's happening, but when we get out there, we don't really know what's going to happen. And that's kind of like where I live. And that's what makes the live shows so great. And that's why the drinking, it can't really work with that because you have to be really present and be able to like respond in the moment to whatever is happening. And like, if you're hammered, it's just not going to be fun or funny, you know?
I agree. It comes from a respect for the audience, I think is what you're saying. And
well,
I
you
agree.
guys abandoned us after the show. I was looking forward to getting totally drunk and making out with you guys, and you guys totally left.
Everyone went their separate ways after the show. It was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a weird incident that happened there that I think kind of, that was very strange. Yeah.
And that happens at almost every one of our live shows, almost every time.
What happened?
There was a very zealous fan who refused to leave, and the I guess the bouncers, the doorman of the bar had to really like restrain her because she wasn't leaving, and she was being really belligerent about everything and like screaming. And I mean, I felt bad for the doorman because he kind of put his hands up like, you know, you need to step back. And the second his hands touched her, she's screaming her head off, like, keep your hands off me, keep your hands off me. And he's like, okay, all right.
No, like we didn't have security, so we didn't know how to leave because she was waiting for us in front of it went from being like, I want to meet you and take your picture to I want to murder you on the street. And we didn't know how to get out of there. It was crazy.
Yeah. It was, and so we all went out on the street and we were just like, okay.
It's only going to get better, boys. The next show is going to be bigger.
We need to go to Boston. I miss Boston.
Yeah, and we'll definitely I'll party afterwards next time.
Before I forget, I just want to say we made these shirts.
It was going to be my birthday in Philadelphia, you guys.
So we were going to wear those shirts in Philly.
I love you so much. You guys, I have to tell you that like, you know, we did a thing like this with the Generation Y guys a couple weeks ago. And I was saying to them, and I'll say to you guys that like, you guys really were there first. And I remember when I was learning about podcasting and I really like found a love of true crime podcasting, I found Missing Maura Murray and I listened to it. And like what you guys were doing was so new and so different and so amazing. And really like those of us who make true crime podcasts now, like stand on your shoulders. You guys really like paved the way and helped invent the genre and helped find an audience for us. And we've all just been stealing your listeners ever since. So thank you very much.
I totally remember meeting you for the first time at CrimeCon. I honestly have never had anybody like, I remember walking away from that meeting being like, what? Did he just confuse me with somebody else? Like,
the thing is, when we met was like literally the second or third time that I saw you guys at CrimeCon. So we were there. We were this new little podcast. Nobody really knew us. And we were like all the way at the end. I remember like walking down the podcast row to see who else was there. And I saw the sign for your show. And then I looked over and I saw Tim because he's 25 feet tall. And then I saw you because you're 4 feet tall, and Maggie was like right in the middle. And I saw, like, I just like lost my mind. I totally like kind of like shut down, and I turned around and went back to Jillian, and I was like, "More Murray boys, more Murray boys, more Murray boys," and Maggie, and Maggie, and Maggie, and I was like freaking out. And she's like, "Go say hi to them," and I was like, I can't. And then you guys were leaving on the last day, and I was determined to stay there until they kicked us out because I was like, anybody that I can find to tell about this podcast, I'm going to. And you guys were leaving, and Tim, I was like, oh my God, they're leaving. And you turned around and you came over to introduce yourself just to be nice, just to say hi. And I totally lost my shit.
I remember that moment very well too, but we had some email interaction before that moment.
That's right.
So I was familiar with your show a little bit, based on that email interaction, but it was great to meet you, and we try to meet everyone at CrimeCon, anyone
I know,
that
me too. And that's look, I've got my issues with CrimeCon. We don't have to air them here. I've aired them with CrimeCon and we're in conversation. But CrimeCon really is such a great place for people who do what we do to get to like meet other creators, which is like, for those of us who came up after you guys, like it's really valuable. And it's a great opportunity for us to get to like say thank you to guys like you who really like helped find an audience for the genre. And it's really like, yeah, it's a really great thing.
I said something on the Facebook group. It's so interesting being in theater all of my life and then podcasting. And I've guested on podcasts over the years, but it is, I imagine, since you guys are, done this for so long, that when I do something, I get my immediate thanks. I get my immediate gratification. They're there, they're applauding, they meet me at the stage door. Like it's all right there. And you guys, we talk as podcasting, you talk into a void and you just hope someone likes it or thinks it's funny or connects to it or something. So I imagine things like that are really, really nice for you guys to see and see how much of an, how much of an effect you have on people, how much people depend on you, or, it's like you're their little buddies in their ears or in their car. So I imagine things like that are really like gratifying for you guys.
Well, yeah. That's a really interesting point that you bring up. Being on the stage, you get that rush of going out there. I mean, every line that you say, every scene, every time you walk off stage, you're anticipating the next time you walk back on stage because you get that immediate gratification from the audience, or you have this adrenaline rush that comes with that. Is there anything comparable to that with podcasting, or is it? I don't want you to say like no, it's not as exhilarating, but is like the secondary, like that after rush. You're getting people who are discovering you, this whole new audience, audience of true crime listeners who. Probably some of them don't go to Broadway plays, Broadway shows. And now you're getting this whole other audience. Is that exhilarating on some level as well?
Yeah. I mean, it's really fun. I mean, honestly, I find the listeners for 98% of the time so generous and really kind and really nice messages, and people are really active on social media. I love social media. I love connecting with people. I love staying in touch with people. I've always been that way. And you're right, when you're on stage, and it doesn't even mean applause. It's just, and I mean, you guys have done theater. It's the energy. You feel people's energy. And what?
They met doing dinner theater.
I know, they told me before. I know.
They met doing dinner theater. I forgot about that.
But you know what that's like. It's that like visceral energy between people. And it's funny because our first and second podcast dropped, Patrick, 3 months after, because of Corona, it dropped like 3 months after
we recorded it. Yeah,
right. And so then you get all the love, and it is really nice. And I mean, listen, I can say something and Patrick will laugh at it because we have a contract that he has to laugh, and that's with anything, podcasts, in real life. But that interaction you get with people is really fun. And I find the podcast audience, especially maybe true crime, just to be really generous. They're very invested in cases. They're very emotionally invested. They care. Like, we have people that have like texted us, like found people and found things for us, and it's all kind of like a group effort, right?
The other thing that's kind of amazing too is I forget that like we've been doing, True Crime Obsessed for 3 years almost now. And so we're used to the reviews of like, he's too gay and she's too loud, and they both have too many opinions, and blah, blah. His laughing is so annoying. And, we get it in DMs, we get it on Twitter, we get it everywhere. And so poor Ellen, who really is like my mother, she was like, we have a Facebook group for our new podcast, and somebody commented like on a post, like somebody like asked to be in the Facebook group, got accepted, and then said on a post like, yeah, I tried listening to your podcast, but I kind of just can't stand Patrick's laughing. And Ellen screenshot it, and she was like, what can I say to her? And I was like, girl, it's okay. It's fine. And she's like, no. And she like sent me like options of things so that she was going to respond. I was like, don't do that. And then she finally goes, I'm going to tell her we have to take a walk, an Italian walk. And she was like so serious about it. And I was like, no, this is just my life now, girl.
I don't understand. Listen, not everyone is not for everyone, and that's us. That's anything. Someone could think of, but like, why would you go to like the place where people enjoy talking about what they love and like piss in their Cheerios? Like,
that's disgusting. Did you invent that?
I don't know. Did I?
Piss in their Cheerios?
Well, exactly. See, it's not savory. That's a non-savory.
It's definitely more on the sweet side.
Yeah, do it on the naughty stuff, but to come to like a group of people enjoying something, it's just like, oh, that's dumb. But I was very mad.
Timmy, do you have a globe behind you?
I do, yes.
Where are we exactly in your house?
We're in the office, my office. Upstairs, home office.
The thing that I love about Tim, I love Tim so much, but like, I think that my love for him, and look, I actually usually get this from lesbians, because there are certain lesbians that I love so much, they think it's just weird. And I think that Tim gets a little bit like, could she calm down a little bit? Like, I love him, and I'll be around him like in real life, and I'm like, I get to hang out with Timmy, and then he like doesn't talk.
No, I appreciate it, and I love you as well. Yeah, maybe I just get a little intimidated by the energy, or there's just a lot going on.
I know I could calm down a little bit.
No, Tim is very
I'm a little
brooding.
low energy tonight, actually. Yeah,
You're what?
I'm a little low energy tonight.
Oh.
Something happened right before going on live here. I don't want to derail the conversation. It's nothing
let's
really
spill the tea on this. This is important.
Well, it's not like personal or anything crazy, but I had to delete my Chrome and use Firefox. I don't know if it is some kind of hack attempt or what. A lot of hack attempts.
A lot of hack attempts, Patrick,
Look,
Ellen.
you guys-
This is what happens in the true
you wanna
crime
talk about
world.
hack attempts? You guys can't get in a car without some stranger emailing you and telling you that they know where you're going. They sending you Lincoln pennies every day of the week. Look,
Wait, what?
yeah,
Oh, welcome to the true crime podcasting world, Ellen.
Wait,
Well, if somebody had watched the 6-part Oxygen series, you would know what we were talking about.
no, wait, but I just like, has that happened to you? Have you had?
So these boys have been through it. They will literally, like, if they're doing like a Maura Murray thing, sometimes they'll be like, it's a super secret mission, and they'll get in the car to go do the mission, and one of them will get like an email from like nobody McNobody at MauraMurray.com or whatever, and it'll be like, hey boys, I love your red Toyota that you're driving in, and did you enjoy the scrambled eggs you had for breakfast? This shit happens to them.
Craziness. Yeah, this week was really exhausting, actually.
No joke. Tim texted me it was like 8:45 or 8:44 or something. It was right before we were all supposed to get together, and he was like, I think a hack attempt got through. So we had to kind of scramble, and he had to pass over the administrative duties on this end so I could hit start broadcast, because he usually does that, but he couldn't do that because he had to delete his browser.
Timmy, that's
right.
serious.
Yeah, but on this topic, I want to know what you guys think about the disappeared episode of Maura Murray, because we might have some more tea to spit.
Yeah. Oh, Tim, I love you so much. So, it's my understanding that episode came out, like that was kind of the first thing that brought the Maura Murray case to like prominence. Is that right?
That's probably, I think that's the main like lasting impact from at least the beginning of the case. Yeah.
Because there's a couple of things that come to light in that episode that we watched the episode, recorded our episode, then I interviewed Julie, and there are some things that happen in that episode that like as a huge fan of yours, and like just like I'm obsessed with the case like everybody else, that I didn't really know about. Like, for example, the call that Bill got on his way through security, like the whimpering woman. So that was one thing. The person who like claims they saw her at, and again, we say in the episode, at a store, but they use the exterior of a Cumberland Farms, so I'm going to assume it was definitely a Cumberland Farms.
Right.
And then the things that were left out of the episode, like the rag in the tailpipe, Fred, like taking all the money out of the different ATMs on his way to see Maura. Like, It's just so interesting what we've learned since this case happened. But what do you guys know about those two things? The person at the store and the whimpering phone call.
That whimpering phone call is
Maybe.
Yeah, the whimpering phone call is sort of known as the Red Cross call in Maura Murray lore, if you will. It supposedly happened as Bill Rausch was to Bill Rausch's phone as he was traveling through airport security from Oklahoma going to New Hampshire. And so his phone was off or whatever when that phone call came through. It was supposedly, there's still a little conjecture on where it came from, whether it came from someone who called using a Red Cross calling card, which we know Maura actually had some of those, or whether it was from the Red Cross itself. I think it makes zero sense, actually, that it would be Maura Murray who made that call. Oh, because theoretically, think about it. If it was Maura and she was in distress as the call would sound, there's a whimper on the line, she's not going to pull out her calling card and dial 15 numbers and then the number to call Bill.
Yeah.
Like, she's going to call 911 and she wouldn't have been on a cell phone anyway.
She would have been on a payphone
at someone's personal or a payphone or someone's house.
She had a cell phone, right? Was the cell phone recovered in the car or did she take it with her?
No, cell phone's never been found.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I will say, to this day, Bill Rausch will say, when he heard that message, he was absolutely positive that was Maura, and he's said that to us. He said, when I heard that message, for my first thought, like, I was absolutely convinced that was Maura. But then he follows it up with, of course, I would have thought that was my girlfriend who's missing because I'm on my way to find my missing girlfriend. So I get a call with like weird scrambling, female voice on the other side. Though I have a hard time with the whole story anyway. Like, so the Red Cross was supposed to be calling him because he needed permission to leave base to go do this, to go find his girlfriend. It's very difficult to do that. And this was almost like a check-in call, just for lack of
some kind of travel arrangements or something like that.
Yeah. And the fact that there's no detail on that is a little weird to me. I'm not trying to speculate on anything here, but the fact that like he can't say
he's already in the airport. What does he need travel arrangements for?
Maybe they're calling to tell him like, hey, did you touch down? Have you taken off? Like maybe that's it. But why is it so indistinguishable?
Yeah.
God, it's so crazy.
I don't know why the Red Cross would use a Red Cross calling card.
Sure. Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Oh, he said he doesn't know why the Red Cross would use their own calling card.
Oh, right. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know who did it. But
really? Who do you think?
Whoa. Are we going to have another exclusive?
I told you, Patrick.
Wait, who do you think?
I think it was a creepy bus driver.
Oh, God.
What do you guys think about good old?
He's dead. He's dead.
Yeah. He died. He moved to Florida before he died.
Did you guys get to talk to him?
Oh no, he died before we started our thing.
I mean, Hundo P.
My whole thing is like, and I said this in our episode and in the TCO episode. Like, what on earth is a creepy old man doing? Driving his bus around at 7:30 at night. You guys, where was he going in his bus?
He's coming home from taking his some students to some ski trip or something.
Yeah, it was like a field trip. Yeah,
and he made a pit stop, and the pit stop was murder. So.
Well, I mean, this was really right in front of his house. His common law wife and his mom were home. About 200 yards from where Maura's car spun out. So let's play it out for a minute. If it's him, then he would have had to have successfully lied to police, several of them for years. Maybe grabbed Maura as she's walking down the road and hid that from his common law wife and his.
Yeah. But like didn't she lock her car door? Wasn't her car door locked? Like it just honestly, Patrick, wasn't I was so invested. I'm just so invested.
So Ellen watched the episode. I learned that day that she didn't know anything about the Maura Murray case, and Ellen texted me, "Oh my God, where is she?" And I texted back, "Welcome to the rest of your life, girl."
Sorry.
Hopefully not.
Sorry.
Hopefully not.
Girl, she was so beautiful.
Butch Atwood is a good person to look into. I annoyingly always go back to this newspaper article that was written in the Caledonian Record, where
Area man laments.
Exactly. Area man laments events of the night of February 4th, 2004, February 9th, 2004. And he actually goes back to the press, and he's saying like, he's basically he's lamenting the event, and he's saying, maybe if I didn't look like I looked, she would have accepted help. I feel, and you just kind of feel bad for him. I think if he did something to her, the last thing he would do is revisit that with the press, unless he's completely stupid. But if he's completely stupid, he should have got caught.
But here's the thing. Wait, Patrick, in the Paige Birdfeld case, remember they went to that guy, they looked through everything. What was his name? And they were like, okay, it's not him. And then the episode was still open when the show aired, and like 8 years later, it was him. Sociopaths can. I don't know. I don't.
Well, can I ask you guys something? Do you guys find it weird that Bill Rauch didn't do one of the documentaries on his missing ex-girlfriend when there were two of them, and his mother did one?
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. When I first watched the Oxygen series, I was like obsessed with you guys and obsessed with Maggie. You guys were like famous people to me, and now you're all my friends. And so now it's like I'm learning that they're the politics and the dynamics of like this, the community, the online community of the Maura Murray case is so crazy. And so I know, I think that I feel like the Murray family still is in touch with Bill. It seems like they don't think that he did it.
Right.
That's probably correct, but they say to look at anyone.
Yeah.
They're open to you looking at him for sure. What do you guys think about it?
About Bill?
I had your exact thing. I said in my notes, I was like, where's the boyfriend? Why is the boyfriend talking? And I thought he would pop up later. And I do think that's interesting because remember the mother loved her.
Yeah. I mean, for me,
Armour?
Yeah, yeah, that's what she kept saying.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like what I've read about Bill and what I sort of know about Bill, I feel like he's garbage. But I also feel like the idea of people, the whole idea, this case is so big, and I do understand that the people who are peripherally connected to it not wanting to talk to the press anymore does make sense to me, because it's sort of if you're a private person and you don't want this to be the defining thing of your life, or you don't want people just coming and knocking on your door for the rest of your life talking about this case, there comes a point where you just stop talking about it. And the thing with Bill, it's but you could also, and you guys might know the answer to this question, but why was Julie not interviewed for the disappeared episode?
I don't know. Maybe something to do with her army training at the time, or career at the time.
We also heard an interesting theory that, and it's probably not even a theory, but the grand jury stuff. If there's interviews that have been done by grand juries, and maybe some people who have been interviewed don't want to say something on the record publicly in a media outlet that would contradict. But not confirmed. No, definitely not confirmed. I'm just saying, we've heard this may have been a reason why some people haven't talked. But also, Bill is pretty entrenched in the whole political system, the whole political machine in Washington. He went through the military. What he did in the military was a form of propaganda, is probably a little bit too strong of a term, but he was in that sort of department. So he knows how to play the system. He knows how the system can play people. And
it's also it's not a secret that Bill has gotten in trouble for his treatment of women since he was with Maura. Am I wrong?
Yes. No, that's
Allegedly,
absolutely
Patrick.
accurate.
Allegedly.
Didn't he? Wasn't
Oh, he went to court.
No, I'm
went to
joking.
court.
No, he went to court.
He's got a protection order placed against him. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask you? This is for everybody and people at home too. What about, for example, the Maura Murray case, Madeleine McCann? What about these high-profile cases do you think people connect to so much? Why do you guys love that case? Or like, I always say that we got asked last week what crime, if we could solve any crime, what would it be? And I said Adnan Syed, only because I was so inundated, I got so emotionally connected. But the Maura Murray case seems to be very emotional across the board for a lot of people. So what do you think about those cases like attracts people to having such an emotional reaction and having so much information and so much visceral energy towards it?
I mean, I think for Maura Murray and for Madeleine McCann, they feel solvable. It feels like the answer is just like right there, but you just can't see it, you know, in a way that the Adnan Syed case doesn't. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of evidence in the Adnan Syed case. I think there's a lot of like things that you can like reinvestigate. But I think with the Maura Murray case, and boys, tell me if like this is, I mean, it feels like this is where your podcast came out of, which was just like, but if we just talk to everybody, then we'll be able to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, it feels so solvable.
Yeah, the podcast came out of the podcast became the podcast because Tim and I were working on a documentary which was about the people looking into Maura's case and what is it about the case that is pushing these people and driving these people to try to find what they were calling at the time like justice for Maura and her family. And the more you looked into it, you realize, no, you just want to be the one to have the correct theory, not even to solve it, not even to like, you just want the credit. Even if something like a body is found or there's some detail, you want that detail to be attributed to your theory. And it's crazy how people just get locked onto that. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people got attracted to Maura's case because when you Google, and this was the same thing that happened when I Googled, because I've just been interested in mysteries and cold cases. I Googled New Hampshire cold cases one day because I was trying to find information on something else, and Maura came up. And unfortunately, she came up because she's white with dimples and a nice, pretty white smile. And then so then you click on that, you're like, what's this? You click on that and you see all of these factors that should really click in like gears. And then those gears should become like a solution, and they don't.
Yeah.
Does the Israel Keys idea hold any weight for you guys?
For like a cup of coffee.
It's interesting. I mean, he called the Northeast his stomping ground. He buried kill kits in Vermont, and we know he killed people in New Hampshire. But it is not Keys in Maura's case.
You think it's definitely not him?
No.
He confessed everything before he killed himself?
No. He only confessed to just a handful.
2. He's only been charged with 2.
Right? He confessed to 11. Were there more than 11?
I believe he's been charged or confessed with 2, and he drew pictures in his jail cell of 11 skulls. So they think it's probably 11, and they knew it was more than 2, but I think officially, I think he's only been attributed with that.
God, that is one kind of a sick.
It's the kind of thing, though, that would kind of make it all make sense. Where it's like, of course, it doesn't make any sense. It was designed to be totally random, you know. And if somebody was following her, you know,
right? I think it's that. I think it's that the idea that someone can vanish off the face of the earth. I think that's what it is with Maura's case. Not to mention there are a million red herrings and characters and potential suspects and things like that. That is like an Agatha Christie element that I think will always be there in human behavior. But I think the idea that someone can vanish off the face of the earth, like Madeleine McCann or Maura Murray or
Brianna Maitland.
What was the woman, the Molly something or other that it happened to in Iowa, like last year at Molly Tibbetts? She ended up being found dead like a week or 2 later, and it was just some freaking random guy.
This is the one that our next episode of Disappeared, and that is baffling, that case.
Yeah.
So, Ellen, I have a question for you. So we're talking about we're going back and forth with laughing and then this seriousness and trying to figure out why people are just intrinsically drawn to mysteries and they want to solve mysteries. You get caught up in these cases, right? I mean, you must look at these cases and you must look at Maura's case, and you even brought up Israel Keys, and it would be a perfect solution, right? Israel Keys did it. He's like a monster, right? But how do you balance the comedy aspect to it? Do you ever have a problem, or maybe Patrick helps out with that? Maybe it's just easier to be comedic around someone who can show you that there's a lighter side to things. Do you ever?
Yeah, I think that something that Patrick and I have always done is, and I mean, there have been, and I will, there have been a lot. We've seen a lot of each other in 20 years. The highest highs and the lowest lows. But the thing that I feel like emotional. But the thing that we've always supported each other with is just through laughter. And in some of my darkest days, okay.
Keep it together, girl. No,
but it's true. And laughter, laughter and sadness are the same chemicals in your brain, right? And sometimes when you're so emotional and then something happens and you just die laughing, and that's such a release, So I think that they're so simpatico, they're so yin and yang, the pain and then finding something to laugh at. Obviously, we never laugh. We are very emotionally invested in. I get invested in anything. Patrick will tell you, I'll start Googling something and looking something up. But there are funny things around these cases. There are horrible prosecutors and disgusting ex-boyfriends that didn't do it. And, so finding, laughing through pain, I think is a great way to live and a great way to be. And then there are the moments that are we need to give information, and we're both very emotional people, and we transfer that emotion, but then we can find the moments of levity, which balances it out, and some people don't want that. Some people want just information and they want to sit with it. I find Crime Junkie to be very just like a narrative, and some people like that, but personally, I need some levity in heavy situations. So I think finding that balance is just healthy. It's just a good, yeah.
In the Amy St. Laurent case, there was a guy that came to visit her who had a certain kind of vehicle with a certain kind of GPS unit, who had a conversation with a certain kind of person. Could you tell the boys about that?
Oh my gosh. So there was this detective named Danny, and he was so cute. But so the person they were investigating, who, spoiler alert, it wasn't him, the way they were able to find him was he had a car with OnStar. So they followed him from the bar, and then they got to the toll taker, and he didn't have the money, so he batted with the toll taker, drove his car with the OnStar home.
In our episode, Ellen, off the cuff goes, he was in his rental car with the OnStar trying to bother with the toll taker. We laugh for 5 hours.
But that's here's this guy. He had the thickest accent, you guys, and he was so cute. And he really did right by this family. He really, really heavily invested this case. He was one of the good guys. And but his accent, I couldn't. I stopped typing. I was like, I can't work like this.
I remember when we were doing the Maura Murray episode, and Fred is one of the first people to talk, and so you're like, I gotta start this episode, and you're like, look, Fred Murray is adorable. He loves his daughter. All he wants to do is find her. He's been suffering, but I gotta tell you guys, the Boston accent is the gift that just keeps on giving.
Well, he's like the perfect definition of so you get the Boston accent, and then you can break that off into the Dorchester accent, and then you can break it off to the South Shore accent. He's got the quintessential South Shore,
Swampscott or Worcester-ish,
could you tell the boys where Maura and Fred went for dinner in Amherst?
Oh no!
Oh yeah, they went to the Amherst Brew Pub.
What meal were they having?
What did they? I can't remember.
Were they having breakfast, lunch, or?
Oh, supper.
Supper. Yeah.
I was like, oh, he calls it supper. But it's just when you said it, up like that. I'm too basic. I can't not take. I'm like,
I know. Have you guys talked to Fred? Has this happened?
Briefly, yeah.
It was a bad, have you heard this story? This is a really funny story.
Tell us.
Oh God, is it funnier when you start it, Tim, and then I come in, or?
You guys leave the comedy to us, please. Come on.
So yeah, we were filming the disappearance of Maura Murray's show for Oxygen. We were at the tree, right, the spot where Maura went missing. And was this the anniversary, Lance? This was on the 9th of February, like 2018, I think, or 2017, I guess it must have been. Yeah.
2017.
And and it was like snowing and it was freezing, it was like minus.
It was
degrees.
colder than I've ever experienced up there.
Yeah, it was like, it was right around the 0 Fahrenheit.
You guys are shivering the entire time. In your documentary and in the Oxygen documentary, you guys are so cold. I just want to snuggle you and give you hot cocoa.
But there was about maybe 30 people around, and there was a little bit of a speech by John Smith, and Fred was there, and there was several people there kind of looking around, and he kept looking at us, and we were told when we got out of the car to not approach him. Maggie actually came out and was like, "Hey, he doesn't want to talk to you guys.
Don't you do it."
Yeah. She was like, "He doesn't want anything to do with you guys. He doesn't want to talk to you guys." We're like, "All right, fine." That's a bummer, actually. We thought we were about to get to meet him and it was going to be okay because he was doing this show. But okay, that's fine. But he kept looking at us and we were like, well, he must know who we are. Honestly, it looked like the way he was looking at us he wanted us to approach him. It seemed like an inviting look to me.
It was.
I took it upon myself to go up to him and shake my hand. I said, "Hi, Fred. I'm Tim. I'm so sorry, obviously, about everything that happened to your.
Why we're here today? Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good transition to storytelling point of view. We're standing there and we're freezing, and the speech happens. They let the balloons up, and it's freezing. And Fred doesn't have a hat on, and you can tell he's kind of shivering, but he's keeping it together. And he keeps looking over, like Tim said, and his looks weren't just passing looks. It was those two guys, he kept coming back to us. And Tim finally was like, "I'm just going to go say hi. I'm just going to go shake his hand. I'm going to go shake his hand." So I'm like, okay. And I watched him walk, and he gets about maybe 15 feet in front of me, 10, 15 feet in front of me. And I see him shake his hand, and I'm taking 1 or 2 steps towards the situation. And he shakes his hand. I see words. I see communication happening. And then as I'm getting closer, I'm finally within earshot, and I hear Fred say, "Thank you. You just keep doing what you're doing." And in my head, I'm thinking he's talking about the podcast. You keep doing what you're doing.
I thought so too.
And I'm like, Tim just fucking broke the ice. He just did it with Fred. And I go in and I give him a handshake and I say, "Great to meet you, Mr. Murray. I'm Lance from the podcast." And his demeanor went from, "Thank you guys for coming as a tribute to my daughter," to he looks around, he goes, "It's getting pretty chilly here." And he walked away. And I said,
"What happened?"
I looked at Tim and I was like, "What?" And Tim was like, "I never said I was from the podcast." And I was like, "Oh my God." He had no idea.
I mean, I wasn't trying to trick him or anything. I just didn't mention it. I said, I thought he knew who we were anyway. Silly me, I guess, and I just said Tim. I didn't say from the podcast.
And then this is just the story of our lives. In Fred's mind, he's like, these two guys just showed up and they seem like cool guys. They're tribute to my daughter. One guy comes up, introduces himself. And then the next guy comes up. "Oh, what did you guys just 1-2 punch me here? You softened me with Tim." And then the other guy has to come in and be like, "Oh, I'm from the podcast." That's probably what was going on in his head, that we just set up the scenario. Once again, the podcast guys just pulled pulled punches on him. But that quote, man, he was like, "Getting pretty chilly out here."
It was already zero.
It's
it
like
was
2
degree.
Yeah.
You guys, I gotta go put my daughter to bed. I love
Oh my
you.
goodness, just like that. It's 10 past 10.
I know. I'm sorry. Oh, that face from Ellen Marsh.
Oh, I was like, oh, I know. I was like, I know. It was so fun chatting with you guys outside. It's just time flies. I have this saying that I made up. It goes, time flies when you're having fun.
That's good. I like that.
Never heard
it's
that.
Catchy.
Whoa, write that
down.
Around, use it, whatever.
Wow.
Nancy and Timmy, I miss you guys so much. I'm so sad that we have to wait for our shows, but when we come back and do our shows in Boston and wherever, they're going to be amazing. Look, I'm on Lancey, you guys.
It's amazing.
Daisy, come here. Come look at my t-shirt. Come look at Lancey's wearing my t-shirt. Who's that?
Oh.
Who's that?
How many tattoos do you have, Lance?
I only have like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
The one on my lower back is the one that's really awesome.
Yeah.
You gotta put Daisy to bed.
I'll come back.
Why haven't seen the tattoo on his lower back? Anyway.
All right.
Okay.
It's up the Crawlspace logo.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight. We will see you soon next week.
Special guest,